I'm Ben Meiselas from the MeidasTouch network. You see, when it comes to Donald Trump, he confesses his crimes in public, and then when you then accuse him of the crimes that he confessed to, then he calls it a witch hunt and then says it's the weaponization, then uses a variety of terms, whether it's calling you a communist, a Marxist, or whatever, to try to diminish your position. But he talks about the crimes publicly. They're open and obvious, and I know the Republicans don't want to ever call him out, and large media networks don't do anything either, but we here on the MeidasTouch network do. You know, the most recent thing Donald Trump's been talking about over and over and over again is how he could have made all of this money from Saudi Arabia. Saudi Arabia would give him billions of dollars and buy all of his properties and make all of his problems go away if he just asked Saudi Arabia. That's usually, in Trump world, the biggest telltale sign, if past conduct is a future indicator, that that's actually something that took place and something that was discussed. If you go into the New York Attorney General's deposition of Donald Trump back in April, it was just recently released, Saudi Arabia is mentioned a number of times in the deposition. And so here on page 180 of the deposition, the question is, Mr. Trump, you said it was high, referring to the valuations of his property. How high do you believe these valuations were? Answer, I don't know. I just felt, I'm not even sure I look at it then. I just felt when I saw that, I thought it was high, but I could see it as a whole. I could see if this were sold to one buyer from Saudi Arabia, I believe it's the best house in the state of New York. I think it's probably the most, one of the most valuable, could be the most valuable house. Now it's contingent on New York coming back. He's referring to his Seven Spring property or his triplex. He just kind of mushes words together, so it's sometimes even unclear what he's talking about. But you see, he's not asked about Saudi Arabia. He just says that if it's sold to one buyer from Saudi Arabia, they'd be able to do this. On page 61 of his deposition, he similarly asked, can you talk about the valuations? Where did you get the valuations of properties like 40 Wall Street and Mar-a-Lago and Miami Doral and Bedminster and Turnberry? And Donald Trump goes, I could sell them for a lot of money to some people. There would be people that would do anything to own Doral. There are people that would do anything to own Turnberry or Mar-a-Lago or 57 and 5th Trump Tower or 40 Wall Street, But some of these things are in particular, when you look at it, I could sell Turnberry, which is one of the most iconic places in the world, one of the most beautiful I've ever seen, rated among the best golf courses in the world, as others are too, I have. But I believe I could sell that to Live Golf for a fortune. Saudi Arabia, I believe I could sell that to a lot of people for numbers that would be astronomical, because it is very much like owning a great painting. And he compares it to the Mona Lisa and how he believes that Saudi Arabia would buy his Mona Lisas for his inflated valuations. Then, of course, Donald Trump in recent speeches, look at what he's talked about in South Dakota. Saudi Arabia, Saudi Arabia, Saudi Arabia. Mentions it over and over again. So here, this is a South Dakota speech Donald Trump just gave. He says in this speech that he could have sold his properties and made all this money from Saudi Arabia. Here, play this clip.
Because I'm working for you. I'm not working for me. That I can tell you. I could have made so much. I could have. Sir, would love to do a deal in Saudi Arabia. Sir, would love to do a deal here and there. Would love to do a deal. I really can't do that. I'm president. Biden would do it. So we just, we did it right. We did the right thing. And I do it exactly that way again. I will do it that way again. Look, we have a very short period of time.
Here, and then in this next clip, Donald Trump talks about how He could have sold these properties again and just decided not to. And he's the only person who's lost money. He goes, here, play this clip.
An evening of firsts, but something which I proudly state, that I'm the only president that ever lost money while serving in office, and I knew that would happen. I didn't know it was going to be that much. That's a lot. I lost a number of billions. But I knew it was part of the game, and that's what I intended. I didn't intend. I could have made a fortune. Oh, I could have gone to these countries and made deals. You know, I put things in trust. I said, my kids are going to run it. I said, don't do deals outside of the country. Don't do this. Don't. They were going, Dad, can we do something? They said, no, you know, I'm president. We have a higher standard. And then I come out and I watch this Biden stuff they go to make deals with countries that it's just the craziest thing I've ever seen.
So, only person who was in office who lost money. So there you have Donald Trump repeatedly, Saudi Arabia, Saudi Arabia, Saudi Arabia. So what does that tell me? Number one, that he's just completely deranged. Two, that should be utterly disqualifying. Again, like, we shouldn't forget, like, what's going on. I mean, you have Donald Trump talking about, you have someone running for office talking about how they could have sold their property, their inflated valuations of their properties are based on what they believe they can get from Saudi Arabia. I mean, like, what? Like, this is who the Republicans want as their leader. But setting that aside, I mean, past practice indicates that means there's a lot of things that we should be looking deeply at when it comes to Saudi Arabia. I mean, here also, remember this post where Donald Trump brags about Live acquiring the PGA. And Saudi Arabia acquired the PGA, and Trump's like, I told you so, I told you so, I knew about this. It's like, okay, why is that something you're bragging about? Remember this video here as well? This is Donald Trump at one of the Live tournaments. Trump is asked about 9/11, and Trump spreads 9/11 conspiracies, and like, people don't know a lot of things about 9/11. There's not a lot of answers yet. Here, play this clip.
You're so closely associated with the city of New York. Yeah. You, of all people, understand the passion surrounding 9/11. What do you say to those family members who protested earlier this week and will be doing so again on Friday?
Well, nobody's gotten to the bottom of 9/11, unfortunately, and they should have, as to the maniacs that did that horrible thing to our city, to our country, to the world. So nobody's really been there, but I can tell you that there are a lot of really great people that are out here today, and we're going to have a lot of fun, and we're going to celebrate.
Okay, and then, of course, there's the fact that his son-in-law, Jared Kushner, received $2 billion in investment money from MBS. MBS said that he has Jared Kushner in his pocket, and also indicated that it was possible that Jared Kushner gave him a kill list of enemies of Saudi Arabia. And that could have been potentially part of a quid pro quo for the investment. Folks, it's staring us in the face. It's staring us in the face. And yet I know large media networks want to talk about, oh, well, President Biden at the G20 summit didn't answer all of the questions of all of the reporters. What is going on with President Biden? That's what you're focused on. You know, the most significant power the media has is the power of their pen or the power of their lens, what they are shedding a light on. We're going to relentlessly shed our light here at the MeidasTouch Network on where the corruption is staring us directly in the face. You have Donald Trump bragging about his Saudi Arabia relationship and then saying that his fraudulent financial valuations are based on how he believes Saudi Arabia would buy his Mona Lisa. Not only, in my opinion, is that criminal, not only is that fraud, this is someone seeking the highest office in our land. It's horrific. It's just horrific conduct. And this is who the Republicans like. It's not normal. So as we talk about this New York AG civil case, as we talk about Manhattan District Attorney's case, as we talk more about Special Counsel Jack Smith's ongoing investigations, I think with a high likelihood, we'll learn more about Saudi Arabian connections, and then Donald Trump and MAGA will say things like, oh, this is just the communist Marxists making up Saudi Arabia things. Look, I said it in my speech. I talked about these things. So now they're trying to weaponize when I'm having my free speech right, and now they're coming after us. And they play the victim, and then they whine. That is the vicious cycle of the MAGA Republican just kind of, whoa, they're taking away my First Amendment right. I was just giving a speech. No, your conduct of engaging in this behavior. Watch what will happen. I'm Ben Meiselas from the MeidasTouch Network. Hit subscribe. We're on our way to 2 million subscribers thanks to your support. Thank you so much, and check us out at patreon.com/MeidasTouch as well.
At MeidasTouch, we are unapologetically pro-democracy, and we demand justice and accountability. That's why we're spreading our message to Convict 45. That's right, gear up right now with your Convict 45 tees and pins at store.MeidasTouch.com. That's store.MeidasTouch.com.